Daniel, we'll let you make the call when we can start.
Yeah, I think that we are ready. Confirm, Rodrigo, every one of the university is online connected with the session that they have to use?
Not yet, but we can start because at least is Camila and Claudia here. So the rest of the people will be.
Well, I see Pedro is doing his audio checks now, so he should be with us in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, there he is.
So as you can see, since the beginning, both the professor and the operator know who is getting into the waiting room. He is checking their credentials, and everybody has their unique identification link and a number. If they use another one, there are going to be problems between one another. So no two students can get in the session with the same link.
Yeah. So there's two reasons for that. One is security. We want to know who's in the room, and then the other one is for some of the features and the analytics to work well. We also need to know who exactly is there. So that's why we're very strict about everyone needs to log in with their own credentials. Okay, good. I think Pedro's with us now. Okay, and hopefully Jimena will join soon. So shall we get started?
Is your call, Rodrigo?
Okay, very good. Very good. So welcome again, everyone. So just a little bit about your interface before we start. If you notice, at the bottom of your interface, you actually have several different camera views. So that allows you to look around the room yourself. And if, for example, if you click on camera 1 for me, you'll see yourselves up on the wall here. So Rodrigo, Daniel, you're up on my left. Claudia and Pedro, you're here in the middle, and Camila and Zareth, Sebastian, you're up here on my right. You can actually wave it yourself to see what kind of latency we're getting, because there's a lot of steps in the chain, so it's always a good test for something like this. And then the other thing I'd like you to try is there's a hand raise button at the bottom left of your interface. If you hit that for me, you see how that lights up in red. So if you have a question or a comment, I encourage you to use that throughout the session. Good. Okay. All right. So the way I actually like to tell this story is to go back, talk about how this technology came to being. And so that takes us back about 6 or 7 or almost 8 years now to when we did our first project with Harvard Business School. And the goal at the time was to create a virtual classroom, but one that didn't sacrifice that one-to-one connection, that engagement between teacher and student. So the bar was set very high early on, and the result, we're going to take a quick look at this is the marketing video for that room. You may have seen this before, but we'll just take a quick look here. So as you'll see here in a moment, what they ended up with was a large video wall with assigned seats for up to 60 remote students, each with their own camera and speaker, just like you have here today. So this is just showing people around the world getting ready for work, and then they're going to join the room a little bit later. Let's jump ahead to the good part.
Let's get started. How is everyone today? It is so wonderful to see you all. I assume you've all read the case. Let's start with the key decision facing this protagonist. Okay, Maya and Shanghai.
So Maya can see the professor looking at her.
What's your plan?
She has her own camera.
What I see is faulty decision making every step of the way.
Okay, now this is getting interesting.
We spent close to 800,000, which is plenty.
10.
Take 10.
Rob in Buenos Aires. What are they doing wrong?
You got the value proposition all wrong. Just because he works in one geography doesn't mean he's going to work in another.
34, take 4.
Color 4. All right, so here's what we want to do. Let's take a poll. Everybody open up their polling tool. First option is to stay the course. Second option is to pull and relaunch. And the third option is somewhat in between. All right, so most of you, despite the problems, think this company should stay the course. Papa, I take it you disagree?
Well, yes, I do disagree.
Color 25.
So Sally, why does that worry you?
What it tells me is that the business lacks discipline.
And every time they encounter a problem, they try to spend their way out of it.
Jeffrey in London, what about you? What's your plan?
I start with the product mix.
I'd pull them off, dear. Make the necessary adjustments and then reel on.
Now that was a great session. See you all next week.
So really was a great session, rave reviews, teacher and student alike. The only problem with that room is that it cost millions of dollars to build, and you had a whole control room full of people who were operating it. So it was more of a science experiment than it was an actual product. But what we did in the ensuing years is rebuild it all in software in the cloud. And as a result, we were able to bring those costs down by more than a factor of 10. So now we had a product that was available and accessible to educational institutions around the world, as well as corporate learning and development and collaborative type meetings. So we'll take a quick look at another milestone. This next one is actually on the corporate side. That's it. Coca-Cola University, so to speak. So this is for their internal employee development, and the reason I'm showing it to you, you'll see in a second.
Hello.
So this became the first hybrid classroom in this case. So here they had 16 in-room students and 28 remote. You can also see how we use more off-the-shelf hardware here. So standard 55-inch monitors, cameras, and speakers to help reduce that overall cost. And the other interesting part about it is in the corporate world, it's easy to calculate a return on investment, right? It's much more subtle and the parameters are very different in the world of higher education. But on the corporate side, they calculated that it cost them about $3,000 to fly someone in, house them, and feed them for the duration of this week-long course. So they stood to save about $84,000 every time they ran one of these sessions. However, for those savings to materialize, this session really had to be as good as being there. They weren't willing to do these, they were like executive leadership or training sessions with a typical web conferencing tool. They really wanted an immersive environment so that people felt like they were there. And that's where this room came in. It allowed them to, not have to fly people in and have these sessions remotely.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm so glad you all could join us. The first thing I'd like to do today is learn a little more about you.
So we're going to talk a lot about engagement today, because that's really what makes this room special. We've all been on these online sessions where, you might have, 10, 20, 30 or more people on the line. And then, when they all start talking, it's sometimes hard to know who's speaking at any given time. Whereas if we contrast that with this room, Rodrigo, can I get you to come off mute and say hello again, please?
Hello, everyone. Can
Hello,
you see
great.
me?
Thank you. So Rodrigo has his own speaker in the room. So when he speaks, I hear his voice come from there. He has your own camera. So when I look at you, and you can see that I'm looking at you. And for someone like me who's terrible with names, it has your name and location there. So it's a lifesaver. And as we're talking and interacting, Camilla, can I get you to do the same, please?
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hey. Hello. So if you notice, I just instinctively turned toward you, Camilla, because your voice came from this side of the room. It's actually quite powerful, because when you're in the room, it's impossible not to turn when somebody speaks to you and the sound comes from that side. So now I'm here, Camilla, and I can look at you and talk to you, and we can interact. Or, Zareth is next to you, and so Sebastian, I can talk to you. Claudia, hello, the same thing. We can make that eye contact. Oh, Jimena's with us now, welcome. And now if I come back over here and talk to Daniel, that act of me looking at you and then turning away when I talk to someone else, that's a visual cue that we have in the real world, right? In the real world, people look at us when they talk to us, and then they turn away when they're talking to somebody else. So now you have that same sort of sensation here. It's part of what makes a conversation more natural. So you'll find that it's conversation is more natural, more relaxing in this kind of environment. I usually like to give people a little bit of homework. The next time you're on another session, whether it be in a WebEx or a meeting or go to whatever or Zoom, have a look at everybody who's on camera, and you'll see that everyone's a little bit uncomfortable, right? Because their camera's on, but they don't know if anybody's looking at them. Whereas here, Daniel, I'm looking at you and talking, and you know that I'm looking at you. When I turn away from you, you can kind of relax, just like in the real world, because my focus is not on you anymore. So it's you kind of find that same kind of more human aspect that you have in the real world. So it's subtle, but it's powerful. And you start to behave as if you're sitting in those seats. So Claudia, if I want to talk to you, I know you're sitting there. I'm going to look this way and start talking to you. And I just start to behave as if you're sitting in those virtual chairs. And the other side of that coin is for you as the remote person. We've all been that remote person on a call, and there may be a heated discussion going on in the room, and it's very easy to be forgotten, right? If you're just a small speck on the screen or a voice on the phone. In this room, you're never going to be forgotten, right? You have this life-size video, your camera and your speaker. You're always going to be part of the conversation. And lastly, in terms of the visual cues, in the real world, when the students are in front of you, you can kind of tell if someone isn't paying attention because they're right there. So we tried to give you a little bit of that here. So if you were to minimize the application or switch to another tab in your browser, I get an indicator on screen telling me that person's distracted, so I can maybe ask them a question to bring them back in or call them out if that was my style. Kenneth was testing me there. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate that. And so is Antonio. There we go. And now they're back. Again, so just a little additional bits, again, all to help with engagement, right? Because that's what this is all about, is we're trying to get the engagement levels up as high as possible.
Can you say, do it again, that test with Antonio to see?
Yeah, Antonio, you want to do that again, please? And then if you're looking at the gallery view, if you look at camera 3, or you're seeing everyone there, you see the little eyeball on top of Antonio's face. So that tells me that he's a bit distracted right now, and he's looking at something else.
Perfect.
And then when he comes back, come back to us, Antonio. There we go. So he's back. And Brandon as well, but he's busy operating. Okay. Good. All right. So what I want to do next is actually look at some sample rooms, and the goal here is just to show you what's possible in terms of building out these rooms. I know you already have some ideas, but it's just nice to see all the different technologies and ways that these rooms are built. So we're going to do that next. So we're going to look at a couple of reference designs first, which is just sort of general, they're kind of meeting room, but they're just general, give you the general reference design ideas, and then we'll get right into some classrooms. All right. So this first one is a collaboration style, where you want everybody to be able to collaborate and interact. So here we have a sort of a standard meeting room table, so the in-room people can talk to each other. You have the remotes on one side here with their cameras and speakers. And then on this side, you have a digital whiteboard that's easily accessible, so everybody can just get up and interact there, as can the remote people. So this is a great room for collaboration, this type of environment. The other interesting thing in this room is there's a screen here for a remote presenter. So that could be that your instructor or moderator is remote for that day. And now you have a remote individual that's interacting with the live in-room people as well as the remote virtual ones. So basically you want to remove any kind of limitation in how you design a session. Your instructor could be remote or in the room. Your students could be remote or in the room, or any combination of the two. This is more for a boardroom, sort of large meeting room style here, where we just complemented this room. So above these couches, we added rows of additional remote participants. This next one is called telepresence style. So it's where you have, we have a sort of horseshoe-shaped desk for the in-room people here, and all the remotes are right at eye level at the end of that table. So good for conversation, so this is good for a meeting room. And now if we look at the...
If I may just complement that, if you can see the professor and also Mansour is annotating in a blackboard. So the blackboard could be easily shown into each one's device, names laptop or tablet or whatever, and also to the people in the class in different screens. So we'll talk about that later, but just note that there's that possibility.
Yeah, so as like now when I'm showing the blackboard, it's showing up on your screen. So this next one is, this is an auditorium where we've typical sort of large classroom where we've complemented this room by adding this additional row of students along the back. So this kind of lends itself very nicely to this kind of auditorium where, as a professor, you're kind of used to seeing people in these rows. And even as a student, right, you're used to looking behind you where you might have students sitting in those other rows. Now you just have one more row of remote students. If you actually look at the picture of the actual room, this is how it ended up. So one look at that, it really gives you wow, you can immediately just see, okay, that looks like a great environment where the in-room students are able to interact with that professor, and then he, in this case, he has all the remotes right there as well, just as an additional row of students. So really, really nice environment. Okay, so here's a smaller sort of classroom. Let's just look at the different parts that make up the room. So we already talked about, there's a screen here where you have the two remote students, speakers and cameras. Then you have tablets or laptops for the in-room students to be able to interact with the session, right there. Ceiling mounted microphones here to pick up their audio. And this is the digital whiteboard that I'm using here today. This is camera one that you were looking at earlier, right? Camera one shows you the whole room as well as the remotes on that video wall. Then you have camera two, which is often a tracking camera that could track that professor as she moves around the room. We have a confidence monitor here. So I have one of those on my left. So it shows me all the different camera angles so I can see how I'm being framed, how I look to you from the different perspectives. That's right here. And then more importantly, it also has the chat area. So when you pose a question in the chat or you make a comment in the chat, I'm able to see it and respond to it, and so be part of that conversation as well. Because the chat has become a more important part of the conversation, so to speak, these days. Then we also have a repeater of the content that I have on the board, so that when I'm looking and talking to you, normally that confidence monitor would be in your line of sight, so that as you're talking to the students, you can also see the content that you're presenting, and it's nice so you don't have to always turn around to see what you have on the slide right now. So that's all very nice. Excuse me. So I usually like to pause here for a moment and talk to you about how I put in presenting content. Because we're all used to screen sharing, right? Whenever we work with any other tool, we share our screen. And of course you can do that here, but what you can do one better, and what I've been doing, is what we call content sharing. So content sharing means that I've actually uploaded the actual content to this session before the class started. And what that allows us to do is to do what we call smart annotations. So for example, you can see these annotations that I have up on this slide. And if I go to the previous slide, they're gone, or they're actually replaced by the slides, the annotations in the previous slide. If I go to the next slide, there's no annotations there. So because we can understand the content, it allows us to do these smart annotations and associate them with each slide. It also means that you can come back tomorrow. This is all a permanent repository. You can come back tomorrow or the day after that, download the content that we shared today, as well as any of the annotations that we did together, right? Because you can annotate on there as well, so we could stop, brainstorm, solve a problem, and all of that is recorded on the board. And the other thing it does is also creates a much higher quality audiovisual experience. Have you ever tried to share a video on a WebEx or a GoToMeeting? The results are very poor. Whereas here today, when I played those videos for you, they were playing in native high definition, so playing on your desktop in full HD. And what we do is we keep them in sync with the room. So they're synchronized with the room, but they're playing in full high definition. It also allowed me to annotate on those videos, right? So on the video, I was able to annotate as they were playing. You can also stop it at any time, highlight something, draw a little diagram and explain something. You can also do that. So we call it frictionless collaboration, which means that no matter what content you're showing, whatever's happening in the class at the time, you could just start annotating, brainstorm, and discuss. You don't have to go look for another tool to do that. It should always be there at your fingertips. And And by having the content there, it allows us to do that. And the last thing, but that's important also, that content sharing allows, is that it frees the professor to sort of be themselves. If you notice, I'm not tethered to my laptop today. I'm not stuck sitting at a chair in front of my laptop so that I can drive the content that I was showing you. I'm able to walk around here, go up to the wall, interact with you on a personal level, then go over to the board, change my content or annotate. So basically behave just like I would in a proper classroom. And that's what we try to give you here. Because you have some great public speakers out there, right, that are very engaging and dynamic. And it's hard for them to keep that, be as good and be as engaging when they're stuck sitting at their desk in front of at home at their desk or even tethered to their laptop here. So this lets you be yourself. All right. Just move on here. So there's more examples, seminar rooms here. In this case, where we've used 3 walls to show all the remote students around a horseshoe-shaped desk. So there's lots of different ways. These rooms can come in all sizes. Could be something very large and elaborate like this one, or something much smaller and more intimate like that. So really all sorts of different ways that you can do this. This is another example. This is IMD, the business school in Lausanne, Switzerland. So this is a nice room that was built here. So this is built to hold, by default, it holds 48 remote students, but they want to have classes that are as large as 120. So they can actually, instead of loading 2 people on a screen here, they can load 8, and then, scale that room up to 120. So in fact, this is the largest virtual classroom in the world with 120 high-definition feeds all coming into that video wall at the same time. It's also quite impressive. We can actually see, this is what the actual room ended up looking like. So quite futuristic, very impressive. So we'll just take a quick look at they started well before the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, they actually built a few rooms to try to help with their program delivery. This was a testimonial that they put together. So
Global Management Foundations, or GMF, a program that's fully online, as an equivalent but different approach to how typically people enter the mastery stage of our executive MBA. And we are thrilled to have this program going full speed now.
To make the virtual sessions effective, we want to focus on 3 things. Designing sessions that are interactive. Secondly, we want to make it a human experience. We want them to bring their full selves to the sessions. The third element is creating an experience that is a high-touch one.
So we are really using technology as a vector to promote learning, deep learning. And to do this, we have a number of tools. Of course, Zoom, but also state-of-the-art X2O technology to do breakout rooms, to do polls, to comment on slides as we go live during the sessions.
It's extremely live. I thought it would be disconnected. It's anything but. And you can see the smiles, and you can see the laughs, and you can see the interaction.
Breakouts are a valuable element of the IMD experience, and they are hugely insightful because they create aha moments for participants.
What they do is they send us in smaller groups, and then within these smaller groups you can really interact, right? So you can go back and forth and you can have the discussion, and I think that's a really good way of doing this.
And really enables to have these strong connections also between the participants.
Already now we have impressive networking going on, even when we never met physically.
Each of our GMF participants will be accompanied by a dedicated executive coach. They can spar, they can engage with them, but they can also move forward through the challenging questions that the coach is going to ask them.
I didn't expect it to be this interactive. It exceeds my expectation.
One of the major benefits for me is that it offers me great flexibility.
It's almost better than a physical classroom. It totally works.
Innovative, effective, and flexible.
We're excited to welcome participants on the GMF journey as they join us from offices around the globe, but also from their living rooms.
Okay. Just one more quick example here, and then we're going to move on. So I wanted to show this one to talk a little bit about the hybrid, classroom and the impact of having students both remote or in the room. Because the pendulum has swung so far that we're almost favoring the people who are remote. And so here in this case, in this room, what they've done is there's microphones at each seat so that you can pinpoint specifically who's talking. You can do that the way it is here with a press the talk button, or you can do it with a ceiling mounted microphone like I have in the room. But the goal is to put the people in the room on equal footing with the remote students, so that everybody, regardless of where they are, when they interact with the session, you'll be able to see them. So let me demonstrate what that looks like. I'm going to turn on that camera, the audio tracking, and I'm going to go sit in that chair, pretending I'm one of the students here. And as I start talking, I'm going to pick up my voice, and you'll see that I show up in the last 4 speakers. So basically in the same place as the remote participants are. So the goal is just to put everybody on an equal footing, right? Be very democratic. So regardless if you're in the room or remote, you answer a question or ask one or are interacting with the session, you now will show up in those last 4 speakers. So it's one of the subtle, things that you have to deal with to create a really good hybrid environment, which is much more difficult than people realize. Okay. All right. Okay, there's more examples, but we'll come back to them if we have time. So it wouldn't be a classroom without a blackboard, right? So of course we've got one of those. So I'll just use that. I can just draw a quick diagram here, a chart. And I'm going to invite you all to draw on that board. If you want to all just scribble on that board for me. Yeah, so as you can see, you can, just like in the room, you can invite a student to go up to the board to solve a problem. You could do it now with anybody that's remote. Just like before, these are all automatically saved and available for download after. You have as many of these boards as you want. If this is full, I just hit next. Start with another board. We can continue from there. And I can always go back to the other ones, whenever I want to. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And if I want to go back, I can go back to the first one or come back here or do it. So, excuse me. All right. Next. So let us do a quick poll. Then I want to get to breakout groups. So let's find out what your thoughts are on your favorite ice cream. So as I'm sure you're aware, putting up a question like this, great way to engage with your audience, bring them back in if they were, drifting off. So it's a great way to bring the engagement levels back up. So not only does it do that, it also shows me how you voted so that I can actually interact with you. So for example, I can see Camila, Zareth, Claudia, you all pick chocolate. Jimena, you too. My personal favorite. Kenneth has got cookie dough. And then there's a few pistachios in the room. Daniel and Antonio. I love pistachios. I love ice cream. Never understood them together. But to each his own. Then you can see if someone didn't vote, and you can ask them why and talk to them. So basically, again, just another way to bring those engagement levels back up. If that was a serious question, I could drill down, right, Daniel, why pistachio, and we could talk about it. So by seeing the answers, it really lets me, be much more dynamic that way. And now I can go back to the board, actually, and with a click of a button, I could say, let's break up into groups based on how you answered that question. So everyone who picked chocolate will be in one group, everyone who picked cookie dough in another, and everyone who picked pistachio over here. Or we could say, hey, let's foster a debate. So we'll put a different answer in each group so they could debate amongst themselves and then come back to the room and report. We can also do, what we're going to do is actually what I call self-organizing groups, which I think is the most sort of real-world way, right? In the real world, you tell people to go off and break up into groups, they go and organize themselves. So we're going to do that. So let's break up into groups of 5. So you should have a couple of 3 groups to choose from there. If you want to go ahead, select one of those groups and hit join. We're going to have a little assignment for you. Okay, great. So as you start picking the groups, I can see on the board, you know, which groups you've entered. There we go, great. Once everybody's in, we'll give you your instructions. If the group is full, just go and select another group. So Rodrigo, are you able to pick a group? Pedro, Jimena, okay, Jimena, there we go. Just pick a group and hit join. So once everybody's in a group, what I'd like, oh, there we go. Okay, Pedro and Juan Manuel, if you're able to select a group, please. So once you're all in the groups, what I'd like you to do for the next couple of minutes is talk amongst yourselves, get to know the other people in your group. And together, what I'd like you to do is to collaborate and draw a picture of a bridge on that shared whiteboard. So it's gonna be a little competition. We'll see who does the best job. So I'm actually gonna shut up now and let you guys talk amongst yourselves. And work on your bridge. If you do have a question, just hit the hand raise button and I'll be able to jump in and help you out.
Hey, hi there.
Hi there.
Hi, Ben. Hi, Bimana. Hi, Daniel.
Hello,
Good.
Liz, Kenneth.
Yeah. Hi. So you'll notice now we're in our own group. Monsieur can't hear us, and neither can anyone else hear us as well. So we're just talking among us. So Monsieur has the ability to come into our group, which he's doing right now.
Yeah. So you raised your hand, Daniel, right?
Yes, only was for ask what you want us to do. A picture of what?
To draw a picture of a bridge.
A bridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm taking liberties here with the water.
Yeah. So anyway, this is how I can now I'm part of your private conversation, and now while I'm part of your group, I can see the work you're doing on the board. I could help you out if needed. Okay. So I'll leave you guys to it, so you can work on that and.
I'll do a shark.
A little fish in there. Oops. Bit of a golden gate here, I think we'll go.
Yeah, so Monsieur has the ability to talk to just one group, so he can come and just join ours and help us. You know, if you raised your hand, so he came in and joined us.
Brandon, you want to put Pedro into group number 2 with you?
Or he can talk to everybody.
Okay, if you want.
Yeah. And if we need, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go, please.
Yeah, just if we wanted to get his attention, let's say the raised hand wasn't working, we could ask a question that the whole maybe class wants to hear. We could hit the little bullhorn at the top where next to the word that says 3 motion, there's a little bullhorn.
Yes,
so we
yes,
can press
I saw that.
Yeah, and then that we can talk, so we can ask a question and everybody will hear us, including Monsieur. So.
Where is that, Liz?
It's right at the top, right next to the word where the name of our group is called Motion. And then
I see. Yeah, right.
I see. So you kind of have to hold it down and then you say something about everybody.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I have a question. We can upload a picture or only drawing in this board?
No, we can load a picture. So I don't know if you're going to have
because where is I saw that like the option that for me will be the most close in the bottom right, assets, but only show me like PDF that are in the server. Oh, Liz was gone.
We lost Liz. She's probably checking the server. So the snapshot. Oh, no, it's not working.
If I change the, do you see the change that I have changed the?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I see it. Yes. So you're just switching you're going scene by scene or something, right? You're going to 4.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Right. And you go back to the right. So there's the 3 is where it's at. So let's see.
Hey, sorry about that.
That's all right.
I was trying to minimize my screen so I could load a picture, and I I shut it.
So,
I shut it down.
so if we
Yeah.
do a snapshot, what happens there?
Yeah, a snapshot will just take a picture of the whiteboard. So, and that'll, you click on that and it'll just download a snapshot
PDF.
of the whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's for me to have then. I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But over here is where if we wanted to look for assets, right?
Yeah, so if you wanted to just bring up another, something that's already in there, I mean, you've got access to it. So you have the choice to give the students access to that or not.
Okay.
And you give them the option to load or share their screen or any of those things. And there's different ways that you can do that. But yeah, I could, in theory, just drop a picture into there, like by doing a drag and drop. So you want to probably get us back to the.
It's possible to do that? Like, 1 second, I will try. Okay, yes. Now I have uploaded. I think that I did that.
Did it let you?
I have a pop-up asking if I want to upload the picture, and I put yes.
Okay. So what happens then? It probably be in the asset
okay.
list.
Perfect.
What is it that you uploaded?
A picture of the Golden Gate, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
You see it yet? I don't see
Me
it
no.
there yet. No, neither do I. I don't know if it.
And I will try it again with the other one.
But okay, I'm going to try and leave full screen mode there. Hold on a second. I'm going to minimize my screen and.
I have upload asset. Do you do? I don't have the permission for upload assets. That is the reason.
Oh, okay.
So I will. Hold on a second. I have a picture of a bridge here somewhere. There we go. Let me try it. Okay, so hold on, let's go back to full screen. There we go. There we go.
Yes,
I
I
just
saw
uploaded
your
the bridge.
bridge.
Yeah. So we can show this one off, or we can show that one off.
That's the idea. I think we're sticking with which one is it? 1?
Okay, everyone, we're coming back in
3.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Y después se va. Bueno, después ahorita te lo sigo contestando.
Okay, so thanks for doing that. Now that we're all back together, we can actually look at what each group did and share it with the room. So let's do that very quickly. Group number 1. So wow, very nice. Suspension bridge.
Oh, that's nice.
Cars and trucks. The sun is on the wrong side of the board, but that's okay. That looks very good. So if you want to know who is in this group, you can actually go to the top of the board. You see where the group icon is, the number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nickname Science. If you hover over that, you'll see who the members of this group are. So very useful. Okay, let's see group number 2. It's also very nice. Similar suspension bridge design. Got an airplane in there as well. Very cool. Finally, group number 3. Group number 3 went for the abstract art approach. So I like it. So great. Thanks everybody for doing that. So a couple of things to highlight there. One of the things you would have noticed, it's a bit awkward to draw with a mouse or a touchpad. And it's true. And in fact, what you can do is we have a companion app that you can run on your iPad or tablet. So that gives you a natural touch surface to interact with the board. So that two-screen experience gives you the best of both worlds. So the whole video experience remains on your desktop or laptop. and then the tablet becomes your whiteboard. So that two-screen really gives you best of both worlds. The other thing I wanted you to notice was how dynamic the whole group experience was, right? So even at the beginning, while you were going into groups, so me as the professor, I always have full kind of control. I could see everybody at all times. I could see you as you're joining your groups, and even while you're in groups, I could still see everyone. You know, I can't hear them until I join the group, but I could still see everyone's faces. It's actually quite fascinating because as soon as I put you into groups and say, okay, go ahead, you know, you see everybody start smiling and chatting, very rewarding. And it also allows me, if you notice, like the groups are not different meetings, right? I could still give you instructions. I was able to talk to everyone at once, even though you were in different groups, and then jump in and have a private conversation with each group with a click of a button. So very dynamic in that way. And even now, as we're talking, I have little mental reminders to help me. So for example, you know, Daniel, I could see you were in group number 3, and Liz was also in group of 3, and so was Ken, right? If you have 50 students on the wall, you can't possibly remember that. So we got little mental reminders here, right? Camilla, I could see you were in group number 1 with Zareth and Sebastian. So it really helps you when you're having a conversation. If I'm asking you, Camilla, about the great job you guys did on the board, I can also refer to some of the colleagues that were in your group with you. So that's that. All right. I have a few more things to show, but I want to pause and take questions because I want to make sure I get questions before some of you may have to drop. Yes, Daniel.
I have one is related with the hybrid option. Is possible to do this kind of work or separate groups between people that is online and is present?
Yeah. So very good question. Very good question. There's a few ways to approach that. The simplest way is to have the people in the room group together and the remote people group together. But oftentimes you want to mix them. So what you can do when we mix them is there's a couple of ways to do it. You can create little huddle rooms outside your main classroom where they could go off and join the groups with the other people, or they could put on headsets and sort of try to separate in the room. And you know, if you're all doing it in the room, you're going to have a bit of crosstalk, as you may hear a little bit of background noise, but it's also doable that way, where you kind of bunch up, the people in the room bunch up together in a corner, and they have headsets so they can talk to the remote people. And then if you really want to go all out, you can have those huddle rooms outside where the in-room people can go out to the huddle rooms and join the remote people that way.
Thank you.
Yes, Rodrigo?
Yeah. My first question, I have more than one, but my first question is, can we record the sessions of the class in order to let them available for our students when they cannot assist to the regular
Yes,
class?
so you can record the session. You can also choose to allow the students, everybody to record the session. Most people don't want to allow that, and but you can decide with permissions if you want to allow that or not. But yeah, you can record the session and make it available on your LMS for people to go and look at it afterwards.
Okay.
Yes, Claudia?
Records use our current Zoom account, or do you need another account in order to let them available, or there's a charge for storage considered?
Well, we record, then you can take the recording and put it wherever you want. So it's up to you. You can place the recording on, I don't know if you have Kaltura or Panopto or something like that, or within the LMS if you have a place to put it. So you can just take the recording that we create with our system and place it in some place that makes it available to the students.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, I think Rodrigo had more questions.
Yes. Go ahead, Rodrigo.
Yeah, it's related to the question that Claudia says. Actually, we have 2 LMS here at UNAB. We are currently using Blackboard, and we are start to migrating to Canvas. And we use actually today Zoom as a virtual classroom. The question is, can we integrate this tool with Canvas eventually?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so we support what's called LTI, Learning Tools Interoperability. It's an interface for connecting to learning management systems. So through that LTI, we can connect to Canvas, and you can use it to create your classes and invite your students in Canvas, and then that would create them within our system. And then you would use a common login to access both.
Great. Thank you. No more
You're
questions
welcome.
here from my side.
Good.
I have one. It's related to your room. How many microphones do you have over there right now? And if you can repeat that test that you did it when you were seated, because I was trying to find any difference, but was always the same, like the same microphone taking your voice.
Yeah, so in this room, we have a ceiling-mounted microphone, which is a beam-forming microphone that, that can tell us where the audio is coming from, which part of the room. I'm also wearing a lavalier mic on my lapel, so I could turn it off and it would still work, but sometimes if I wander, if it's a big room and I go to the corner, it's good to have that for the professor. So you want me to repeat the test with the...
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to turn it on again and I'll go and sit in this chair. But you want me to turn off my lavalier mic? Is that why?
Yes.
Okay,
please.
so I'm turning it off now. So now it's off and you're hearing my voice through the microphone in the ceiling. So you may have heard a bit of a difference, but it should be pretty similar.
Similar, yes.
And yeah. The only time you might hear a difference is if I wander away and my back, like if I turn my back to the microphone and I start talking like this, you might hear it a little bit more distant. But it's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I turn on, I'm going to turn my lavalier back on now. So now I'm back on the lavalier. It's a little bit louder.
How about feedback, Mansour? Is there any issue with feedback with your lab and the overhead?
No. So behind everything is a biamp DSP, which takes care of all that.
Okay.
So it does all the echo canceling and noise canceling. And the same thing, like when we play that video in the room on the wall, you got to make sure that you don't get that, echo coming through the microphones as well. So that's all taken care of with that.
Great.
Yes, Rodrigo.
Yeah, it's me again. I forget a question. Actually, for this meeting, we log it via computer, right? But in the event that our students are using their smartphones, there is an app available for this product in order to connect to the class also.
Yeah. So there is an app available, like I said, we can use for the second screen. However, we still in general, because we're trying to create a very immersive experience, really,
Absolutely.
we want, for the best experience, we want you to be there with your video on and your microphone on, so that, like if I say something funny, I want to hear you laugh, right? But if you're all muted, I won't get that same kind of connection. So with a mobile phone, the phone is going to be moving around. We don't recommend, so we try to discourage people from using a mobile phone to join this because it's going to diminish the experience for everyone. So a tablet is better choice. At least you can set it down and sit in front of it and work that way.
Actually, if I may, I think that Juan Manuel was connected through a mobile phone.
Yes.
So he can tell us his experience with a mobile phone.
It's a smaller screen. Yeah.
It's a smaller, so it's not gonna like we haven't focused on it because we really discourage it. So the experience wouldn't have been great for him because the interface is not gonna fit well. And
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be more. It's just gonna be like a regular Zoom call or something, right? You're gonna have a less than experience.
Yeah, the immersive effect is lost. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And
You're very
related to that, which is the requirement for the online client? Have what kind of browser? For example, Google Chrome, or could be another more?
So we work with Chrome. We work with the new version of Edge, Safari on the Mac, and I think Opera. So the only one we don't test with is Firefox.
Okay, and the tablet could be with Android.
Usually Firefox or Chrome. Safari or Chrome, usually on the tablet.
Okay.
Yes, Claudia?
How do you charge? Do you charge by software implementation, licenses? How's your algorithm?
So there's two components to the room. There's the upfront costs, which is the build of the room. So that includes all the hardware and the building of the room. So that's a one-time cost. And then there's a subscription cost, which is based on the usage of the room, how many hours you end up using it for. So that subscription cost covers all the software, any licenses necessary, as well as the computers. So behind every one of these screens is a computer that's running our software that's also included in that subscription cost.
And also by the number of seats.
Yes, so it ends up being, like in this room here, I have 22 seats, and so that's the number of seats, and then if I'm going to use it, how many, 20 or 30 hours a week.
And Claudia, as for you know, Antonio is working in a layout that the university wanted for the 100 online students and the possibility to have 50 in the room. So they are working in that too. I hope in the near future, show you a proposal of that option for the rooms that you give us.
Yeah, we received, Claudia, the schematics and pictures of the rooms with the task of what would you do with these rooms. So the team in Montreal, which is expert on that, is trying to think what would be the best option to fit 100 students, either all online or hybrid, to show it to you like a very general and briefly before going deep into the rendering and all that kind of things. Like give you some ideas of what we can be doing.
Do you have some videos or things in order to share them with the other stakeholders in the university?
So usually when we do that room,
to demonstrate that, but we need to explain how different is this experience from HiFlex, I mean, or from other experiences that we're doing now.
Yes, so one of the best ways that we found to do that is like the renderings that I showed you earlier, the pictures of the room, those are actually 3D models. So as part of this effort, we would actually create a 3D model of the room and what it would look like, so that you can use that to show people, okay, this is what a potential room, what it would look like, and you could look at it from different perspectives and even create a 3D model where you can sort of look around that room. So that's a useful tool.
IMD and Coca-Cola University as well I think it's a good video to show.
Yeah, we could certainly share those.
We'll
share those videos with you.
Yeah, Claudia, I can share those.
Yeah, and also we have a couple of pictures from another executions like Emory or HSA or some of them. The video of IMD, Coca-Cola video. So yeah, we can. I think we can share with the team. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. No problem.
Yeah, just coming back to the rooms, Antonio, that you shared, the layouts. So I think we do have some questions around that. So I don't know if that's something we should do on another call or just, or if we have a couple of minutes now, maybe we can talk about those rooms.
Yeah, that would be ideal if we can do it right now. If all our friends from Chile has 5 minutes more to ask some questions. That would be
I mean, I want you guys to get your questions answered. So if there are other
Yeah.
questions, I see Claudia still has her hand up. So maybe
Yeah, and Rodrigo as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's answer everyone's question, and then time will.
All right. I think Rodrigo is first. Go ahead, Rodrigo.
Yeah, thank you. The question is the operation model of the room is including one operator or not necessarily, and if so, how can we train our people in order to make the operator of this kind of rooms?
Okay. So our rule of thumb is for small classes, like 10, 12 people, you could just do it yourself. You have an iPad and you control it from the room. Once it gets to be bigger than that, you start getting 20 and higher. We do recommend that you have a teaching assistant or an operator available to help you run the session. And that person doesn't even have to be in the room. Like today, Brandon has been helping me run the session. He's in Dayton, Ohio, and I'm in Montreal. So the person helping you run the session can be anywhere in the world. They can be working from home and help you to operate that. Right. But we do recommend it. For a professor, usually you want to just focus on talking to your students. Yeah. And you don't want to be distracted with. He's not doing very much. Sorry, Brandon. He's not doing a whole lot. but it's good to have him there. To do a few things, like he's switching camera angles. But I was doing most of it, right? I was calling up the content on the board. I was calling up when I went to groups and jumping between groups. I was doing all of that and showing you. So I can do all that in here. Usually I would, but it's good to have. We do recommend you have that operator. And we do have special training courses for the instructors, for the operators, and for the administrators. So there's a different training for each of them.
Yeah, and then when you go live, those first sessions, those first couple of sessions will be on there with you. So someone from our team will be on to support, and so there's a bit of hand holding until you're comfortable.
Yeah, yeah, we do recommend rehearsals and then those practice sessions like that. Yes, Claudia.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Implementation time from the time where the order is.
So it's a tricky question, which has been made trickier by the supply chain delays these days.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why we need to know is it possible to be this year project or we need to think it.
So we usually give about 6 to 8 weeks for the hardware to be delivered, and again, this assuming there's no architectural changes happening in the room. If you're doing any kind of changes to the design of the room, that's outside of that. But assuming the room is ready, and then we order the hardware, 6 to 8 weeks is a reasonable time to get the hardware there, and then usually a month after that, it can be built up and all the software set up and training started.
Yeah, so even though there might. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so 3 months, just adding and.
Yeah, it's a good ballpark to.
Yeah. I mean, but again, as Monsieur said, there are delays on some items, although nothing as bad as not being able to get it done this year. So I think that's that's totally doable.
When do you need to have the class operational?
Well, we are deciding. So we had to have this information in order to know if there is possible to the second term. Our second term starts in August.
Okay.
Or if for March 2023, which is our first term.
Yeah, I mean, Mansour, I think August is reasonable, don't you?
Yeah, but we'd have to get going pretty quick then.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's we'd have to get going fairly quick.
Because if we look May, June, then July, so you'd be doing rehearsals just as the semester starts. So yeah, we'd have to move very quickly. But it's not a terrible thing. Like, even maybe that first semester, you just, you use it a little bit for a few, some of the classes, and it's a way of getting comfortable rehearsing with it, even if it starts into the semester. But I mean, if we can get things rolling quick, it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Next steps should be, Rodrigo, in our side to show a video to our stakeholders which are deciding and to work with you and the IT leader, that's Rodrigo.
Yeah, we have to look for a couple of things here, including the time of implementing the hardware here at UNAB. First of all, choose the rooms, dimensioning the quantity of screens that we have to buy. For example, install the screens, the network, the networks, the facilities here at UNAB, and in parallel, checking with the people of the X2 Media the prices of the licenses and asking for the proper budget. We have a lot of job.
A lot of stuff to do at the same time.
And not a lot of time. That's
yeah.
Rodrigo, may I ask, what's the band is the room, the current room, is it operational from a networking standpoint? Does it have bandwidth there? Is it equipped to take something like this?
Yeah, we have.
Or does that also have to be built out?
We have some rooms in different campuses in order to start this project, but internally we have to decide what of these rooms we will use for this project, and after that we have to maybe increment the band of or internet services inside those rooms. We have to buy some screens, some cameras, and things like that locally, and your software, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, in that case, Rodrigo, when we would give you some recommendations of the type of equipment that will best fit for this solution. So you're not alone. We'll work with you in every step of the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So we've been provided a couple of rooms, and so we're going to take a look at that and then make a recommendation on how we think it could be configured, number of screens and all of that. And then once we kind of finalize that, we'll be able to provide, some guidelines to you in terms of equipment. And I'm guessing Daniel's team as well is going to help with that. So we could work with him, as Antonio and Kenneth too, work with him to provide what's going to be required for the space, what the bandwidth requirements are going to be, all of that stuff. So it's kind of, you're right, there's a lot of steps we need to do. So we probably want to work on that fairly quickly. But can I just clarify, you want that room to have 100 students in total. So many remote.
As a maximum of 100 students by room.
Okay, a maximum of 100. Okay.
Yeah.
But we receive some videos, pictures and schematics from Daniel with 2 rooms. Okay, so you want to have 2 rooms, right? One with 100 students each, and we are working with those schematics and those pictures. So you mentioned that it could be other rooms. So
absolutely,
what do you want us to keep moving with those rooms that we already are working with?
No, the other rooms are in other campuses, but they're very similar as the schematics that you received. But when I saw the 3D layouts that you presented in this meeting, I have a couple of ideas for the another implementations too. So we would like to start with a couple of rooms, but yeah, it's that's the common for all the campuses as the schematics that you received. But maybe we can explore another solutions too. For example, in conference rooms and things like that, more bigger. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Because the product is fantastic. I like the product. I saw the first video that you presented to us at the beginning of the meeting. I saw that video, if I remember well, at the beginning of this year, and I was very impressed for the capability of this solution. So I'm very excited with this project. That's the truth.
Yeah, good. We are as well.
Thank you.
So the plan is for Daniel, your team would be actually putting up the screens and all of that. Yeah. So we can definitely, we'll have a full bill of materials that we can help you with. This is the equipment that you need. We might need. There's the DSP programming, which I'm not sure if you have people that know that, or we might have to come in and help with that. So that could be part of our installation crew as well. but all the mounting of the hardware, the adjusting the cameras, then we'll count on you for that.
I don't know if possible, Rodrigo, to see again the presentation of the different layout that they show us and tell us which one you think that are more close of what you want in these rooms, so Antonio could work in a better way in the proposal.
Yeah.
Sure. As Claudio says before, we would like to obtain from you some videos and the layouts that we saw on this meeting in order to accomplish two objectives. First of all, to choose one. The first objective is to choose what layout we will apply on these first rooms, but the second target, for example, is to tell us to our authorities, hey, we have a lot of options with these solutions in order to provide solutions for another areas in the university that currently maybe we're not looking in this first stage of the project.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to share the renderings we did?
Yeah, that would be the best, Masur. If we could share with them all the layouts that we showed to them, and also the couple of videos that we showed, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Rodrigo, quick question. You mentioned 100 students at maximum. 100 students online, or 100 students all together, like a 50% online, 50%.
100 student capability of the room, but if they will be in person or remote, it depends on the health decisions here in Chile because of COVID. But physically, the rooms has a maximum of 100 students inside of the room.
Oh, inside. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would, correct me if I'm wrong, so I would think of it as, like that IMD room we looked at, I would think of it as, let's say 50 in the room, 50 on the wall, but sometimes maybe you have 20 in the room and 80 on the wall, so you need to be able to accommodate that. But I think what we would do is then we would set up the wall so that it hosts about 50 by default at a good size, and then we need to go above that, we'll just put more people on the screens to accommodate.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Understood.
And I think that the big solution will be use the 3 walls, or it's possible do something more around the room, not only in the back wall.
Yeah, in a semicircle.
Yes. Do you like that, Rodrigo? That option to be like in the render in the picture that we saw, that is more render around the back walls and not only in the back wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could be an option. I think that the next steps is to define the layout that we will use for these initial rooms, but keep an eye on the next projects inside of our university, because I saw a couple of layouts that I never see before for the another solutions that we have in mind too. So I have I need those pictures and videos in order to present to the stakeholders, as Claudia says before, in order to maybe give another view to another facilities that we are not talking with you still, Daniel.
Okay. Yeah, but it's a good question, Daniel, because in general, it's a good. The more you could spread out the students, the more real you're going to feel it, and the more immersive it will feel. So it is a good idea to try to do that.
Some kind of video wall, so things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually what we probably should do is maybe set up a call, and I'll get Tom on the call, because I've already shown Tom that Tom will do the renderings, and he'll be able to tell, okay, the view from this side is going to be good or not good or whatever. So there's different aspects, so that room is square. So Mansour, it's not like a curved wall at the back, right?
Right.
Put them on the side wall and the back wall and the side wall. The views from the side walls might not be good. So there's things to consider. So maybe we could just set up a call just to look at that room and walk through some scenarios with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
giving you, I think before we start doing renderings and pricing it out. So
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense.
If you want, Rodrigo and Liz, I'll talk with Daniel and arrange the agendas to have the meeting, an informal call as soon as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, let's try and do that. If we could do it this week, that would be good.
Of course. Yeah, Rodrigo, Daniel, if you can give us 30 minutes this week, that would be great.
Yes, for our side, it's no problem.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Good.
Okay. Gotta go to another meeting.
Very good.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. All right.
So thank
okay.
you.
So, all right. Nice to have
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Well, thank you all. That was a great session. I love when we get a lot of questions and discussion. It's much better than listening to me talk. So that was, great session. It was nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a star.
Thank you.
Take care. It's on you.
Thank you.
Claudia, nice to meet you. Camila, Sebastian, take care. Is that right?
Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Finish.